And off to our left, what appears to be the original cemetery. So let's go and have a squiz. This is the Jenner Street Cemetery in the Waratah Wynyard Council area. It's one of the older cemeteries in these parts of the world. Established in 1854, maybe 55, on an acre of land as a general cemetery for Wynyard. It was in use until 1927. So let's go and have a bit of a wander. Now these are quite aged. Can't actually read it, which is a problem. But we'll have a look at some more. There you go. According to the council, it was closed in 1927. And here's someone who was buried in 1930. Mary Elizabeth Kelly. It's very troublesome, the Irish, more likely than not to break rules. It's a heritage I'm proud of. Definitely a need for some heritage work to be done here. Not sure if you can read that, but that's Joseph Thunder, who died January the 11th, 1903 at 64, and his good lady wife, I believe, Mary Ann Thunder, who lived on until 1921, and she died at 57. It's a very old headstone. And with a lot of these things, particularly with the trees and whatnot growing, things move. At least it's all together. See what I mean by things moving. Celtic Cross, the IHS of Catholicism. Mary Agatha Medwin, 53-year-old who died in 21. And then Joseph, who was 76. Who died 20 years later, and so they must have opened it up so that he could be with his missus. Nice. The age differences in these older cemeteries, there's more of a spread of the ages, I guess would be a better way of putting it. There's Patrick Cullen, who died in Christmas Day 1900 as a 38-year-old. That'd ruin your Christmases for good. George Henry Lyons on the 14th of January 1914. There's too much missing to know how old he was, but from the size of the grave, not very. Comparison for you to see how small his grave is. Henry Medwin here, 63 and 22. Also his daughter, who died at the age of 2.5. It's, And then the missus, I think, who died in 37 as a 72-year-old. Impressive structure. Okay, so we've got, in the memory of Thomas Brewster, died the 28th of September 1887 as a 23-year-old. And then Albert J. Brewster, accidentally killed on the 30th of October 1909 as a 13-year-old. I guess you're going to find sadness in cemeteries. Cast iron surrounds are quite impressive, and I'm sure there was something else on top of that grave marker, probably a cross, I would imagine. See, at the top there's the broken Celtic cross, just below is the Harp of Ireland, all the shamrocks, and this is in memory of John Fleming, who was a native, and I'm not going to even try to pronounce that word, town in Limerick, who died on the 27th of January 1861 as a 55-year-old. And his good lady wife, Mary Fleming, née Begley, died on the 2nd of February 1868 as a 63-year-old. And their son Patrick, accidentally killed by a falling tree on the 16th of December 1865, age 16. That's those widowmaker trees I was telling you about. And their daughter, Nora, daughter of Lawrence Fleming, 30th of June as an 11-year-old. And their grandson Daniel Patrick, son of Lawrence Fleming, accidentally shot by his companion on the 22nd of October 1876. Wow, and then John Fleming, John Charles, son of Henry Fleming, who died on the 19th of February 1890 as a 17-year-old. There's just so much tragedy in one spot. Wow. This is the Joyces, but very little to tell us any more. Now this is a curious one. In loving memory of Thomas Carroll, also Hester, wife of the above, and Hester Strong, daughter of the above, and her infant son Cecil. But no date. All very odd. If you had the money in the old days, you could put up a hell of a monument. This is sacred to the memory of Arthur, husband of Mary Main, who was 86 in 1887 when he died. Mary was 80 when she passed in 96. And their son lived to be 67. That's the way it's supposed to go, I reckon. Another grave here with the cast iron surrounds, but no markers. Appears to be full size. Another one where the top's missing. Probably a crucifix, or at least a cross. That's Thomas Farrell, who was 80 in 1911 by the look of it. And Ellen, daughter of the above, who died in 1924 at 65. Now this is a nice one. In loving memory of Bridget, the beloved wife of Thomas Brewster. Bridget passed on the 20th of December 1908 at 79. Sweetheart of Mary, be my salvation, so obviously Catholic. Also Thomas Brewster, the fellow mentioned above, beloved husband of the above, who died on August the 17th, 1912 as an 88-year-old. It's just a sweet sentiment to it. It's nicely laid out. Some impressive cast iron as well. Looking very nice. Section of children's graves here. We'll just pass on and let them be. Well, this is to the memory of Peter Cameron, loving husband of Janet and father of Bert, Bill, Irk, Amy, Tel, Jack, May, Ed, Len, Gavin and Jean. Just the 11. So he didn't live that long, but he fitted a lot in. This is another one of those where there's a huge difference in years between deaths. So we got William Dart, passed away in 1921 as a 51-year-old, and Emma Dart, who passed away in July 1960, aged 91. That's 39 years afterwards. And it wouldn't be a graveyard that didn't include an Anzac. 11861, Private Alfred Henry George Rogers, 3 Field Ambulance. He was only 24 when he passed away in 1921. And diagonally opposite him is 355. That's one of the very early ones. Lieutenant Arthur Montgomery of the 12th. What I remember of the 12th, they were half Tasmanian, a quarter South Australian and a quarter WA. And they went in at Gallipoli and served in the Western Front. So he was there for a long time, to come home and be accidentally killed in 1928. This part is perhaps more subject to land movement than the other parts. A lot of the headstones are at angles, but we'll go for a wander. Nice simple one. Charles William French, beloved husband of Ellen Maybelle French. Passed away 2nd of August 1925, at rest as a 72-year-old. 2871, Private Clarence Begent Muir, 26 Battalion. Only made it to November 1925. It really did knock people about. 140, Private Albert Hartman, 40th Battalion, who died on the 4th of September 1919. Made it through the war and then died not long after. There is no there's no justice in the world. There's no order to it. It just happens, I guess. And there's an interesting little plaque on the bottom of Private Harman's grave. More still here, but with no markers on them. Iron surrounds. Elizabeth Polk, who died at Cooee, which is now a suburb of Burnie, on the 7th of April 1919 as a 68-year-old. I assume that's her husband Luke, who died on the 28th of January 1928, 77. He couldn't survive long without her either. But a hell of an impressive lump of marble. It's a little monument. It's still quite charming in its own little way. George Austin, who died in 1918 as a 41-year-old. And then Catherine, who joined him in 1934. She doesn't have an age there. So W.D. Hamilton, who died in 1923, and his Mrs. E.H. Hamilton, who died in 1917. And two sons killed in France 1916. Thy will be done. It seems to have affected both of them. Both parents, obviously, to lose two sons. Frances Ethel Ross Sams, who died on the 27th of March 1917, 54 years old, and George Gardner Sams, killed in France on the 3rd of September 1916. 29, yeah, not one of the young ones. And then Herbert, who passed at Woodstock, which is our property. 1936. The Great War hit these towns so hard. And this one's very well maintained. Repainted and everything. Arthur Bramich, who died born on the 8th of October 1837, died on the 18th of December 1914. And his good lady wife, Victoria Grace Bramich, 1839 to 1928. Good runs, both of them. It's interesting. We've got the old broken headstone here. It says Matthew Betham Docker, born Southport, England, August the 3rd, 1829, and who died the 12th of September 1915 as an 86-year-old. But above that, on the same grave, there's one that's been maintained. It's been a little while since the lettering was updated, but certainly much clearer to read than the broken headstone. Another three here, unmarked but well looked after. It's amazing the people that feel the need to say where they were born when it was a different country. So you got George Hewitt Sargent, born at Eyethorne, I assume that's how you pronounce it, Kent, in 1844 and died in 1914. And his good lady wife Elizabeth, who died in 24. And you can see the slab, the headstone there is on concrete. At the back there you can see where it was attached originally and upright. Another one of those nice ones, just simple, yet with a touch of the decorative about it. James, who passed in 1922 at 88, and his good lady wife Eliza, who passed in 28 at 93, at rest. Simple, elegant, comforting. And immediately next door is one that's less comforting. In loving memory of Maisie C., beloved daughter of G&A Reeve. died on the 27th of May 1926 as a 9-year-old, and their infant son Murray, who died on the 1st of November 1914 at 4 months old. And Ada, beloved mother of the above, who died in 1935, back with the kids. A couple of shields, a little bit hard to read. George, who was Mary's husband, October the 28th, 1898, 27 years. And then Mary, no, it can't be, I'd say wife, died at 1914, so 16 years later as a 38-year-old. Oh, yeah, 22, 27, yeah, that figures. Very sad. There you go. Susan Mackie Muir, who died at Wynyard, Tasmania, 1908, 81, and then William McGregor MacDonald Muir was 84 in 1910, and John Mackay Muir, son of the late Dr. Muir and grandson of the above, 1930 as a 30-year-old. Wow, it's a impressive piece of marble. Okay, so James Miller Mackay Muir, who gave his life for suffering humanity on August the 28th, 1926 as a 62-year-old. Erected by the Loyal Table Cape No. 5, Myella No. 35, Yolla No. 39, International Order of Oddfellows, and Alexandra, I don't know what that is, UA, United Australian Oddfellow, who knows, and number 41 lodges, in recognition of his loving, faithful and skillful service, aged 34. That's at 1926. And then Jane, beloved wife of the above, 15th of February 1950 as an 86-year-old. It's a curious one. Jump onto Trove and see if I can find out what happened. Well, now then, got Dorcas Louisa, who is the beloved daughter of John and Eliza Lewis, who died as a 15-year-old in 1889. And also their daughter, Elizabeth Ann, who was also the wife of William Pardoe, who departed on the 5th of February 1890 as a 29-year-old. And William Pardoe, who bundied off in 1894 as a 54-year-old. And also the above John Lewis, that's Dorcas's father, who was drowned at the Great Barrier Island, New Zealand, at the wreckage of the SS Waipira on the 29th of October 1894. And Eliza Lewis, as mentioned above, who departed on the 6th of April 1895 as a 62-year-old. Now I'm going to have a bit of a dig around and see what I can find out about the Great Barrier Island, New Zealand, and the wreck of the SS Wairarapa. Wairarapa? Not sure, it's obviously a Maori word. Quite an impressive piece of grave furniture here, with the urn and the wreath, with the urn and the shroud over the top, and fairly solid cast iron surrounding fences. Start off with Mary Ann, the beloved wife of Robert Quiggin of Terra Nova, New Land, 1874, aged 31 years old. And then below Mary Ann, we have Evelyn Mildred Toft, loved daughter of Clara and Alfred Toft. No dates. Moving off to the right, In memory of Anne, the beloved wife of the Honourable W. Moore, another one who died at Terra Nova. 67-year-old, so that's not a bad run in those days, in 1889. And then below that we have Clara Jane Toft, beloved daughter of Mary and Robert Quiggard, who died at Terra Nova, 1918. And on the southern face we have Robert Quiggin, who died at Terra Nova, Wynyard, in 1906 as a 72-year-old. Keep them all together, I guess. As you can see, quite a sizable plot. Interesting carving work here, and this is an interesting one, unless you're the person involved, I guess. William Patterson, who was accidentally drowned by something or other, passing from the shore to the schooner Buscerne off Table Cape, November, maybe it says October 24, 1864, age 24. Another reason to go and dig out Trove and see what we can find on that story. If I find anything, I'll put a link at the end. I'll put a link in the description. And next to William's grave marker is another one that unfortunately has gone face down, so I'm unable to help with that. And you can see the effects of time on these things. There you have it, the old cemetery at Wynyard. Quite a lot more than I expected to find when I stumbled across it. Quite a lot in that cemetery.